is confirming with the airship. Whenever the pilot gets a moment to speak to the airship, he's trying to confirm that is in fact the wand, which was what we originally heard over the scanner, was that it was for fireworks. But you would think that this is might be considered a little much if it was just fireworks. And as you said, Colleen, if nobody got hurt, considering just how busy all of our resources are here in the city of Los Angeles.
But this has escalated. This has escalated to way more than a prank. With fireworks right now. We've seen him almost clip one car. He's gotten on the freeway, gotten off, but he's also crossed over that line. There he is on the wrong side of the road right now.
Yeah, wrong side of the road, and of course also driving recklessly and driving at fast speeds through the streets here in the area, running red lights, running stop signs. So even if the original want wasn't anything that excessive, he's added to that list ever since. He's now on a smaller street called Maplewood, and he's kind of maneuvering through the neighborhood. Perhaps he's trying to find his way back to the freeway, and the nearest freeway would be the 101, but he's just south of it, just on the backside of that building. So he's coming up to the Hollywood area. Now, I'm concerned about that because we saw how many people are still out there in the Hollywood area. A lot of pedestrians still protesting in the streets. So that's of concern, because if he gets up to some of those protesters, you don't know if he's going to be able to slow down in time. But currently, making his way here northbound into the Hollywood area.
Well, you picked the chase up at Hyperion, around that area, is that correct?
That's correct, Chuck. Around Hyperion, somewhat near Silver Lake, just on the west side of Silver Lake, and then he made his way southbound, and he got onto Sunset. So we followed him on Sunset to where it became Cesar Chavez in the Echo Park area, and that's where he picked up the 101 freeway. He jumped on the 101 north at Cesar Chavez, and then exited the freeway again. I believe it was near Olympic, and has been on surface streets ever since.
So we have no idea where the incident occurred with the fireworks.
We don't. We know it was somewhere in the Hollywood area because the airship that we saw was around that area. And I just lost him behind that building there. He just went to the east on Sunset, so we're going to try to catch up to him there.
He goes.
And he's making these random U-turns, which is what's making it difficult for us to keep track here. But Sorrow found him out his window just now. And now you saw when he made that U-turn, now he has two units of the LAPD right behind him.
And he's back on Sunset?
Yeah, so this is Sunset in front of the Netflix building, so it's like Sunset and Bronson. We were out here earlier covering the protests, and he's making a southbound turn here. This isn't Bronson, but it's Tamarind. So it's Tamarind, it's just one street to the west of Bronson.
Okay, as he continues along there, if I remember correctly, he can pick up another street that goes parallel to Sunset there. Is it Fountain? Maybe you just crossed over that?
I think it was probably Fountain.
Yeah, and then I believe also Santa Monica is going to come up too. So it's a few majors that are going to come up here, and he's going to have some options. And he can still get on the freeway if he so chooses. He would just have to go left on whatever major he comes up to. So now he's, sure enough, Santa Monica was his choice, but he's going right, which is going to put him away from the freeway.
But he's heading in the direction of the protesters that we were watching earlier. I mean, he's still like 4 miles away from them probably, but...
Yeah, but at the speeds that he's moving at, he could get over there very quickly. And when someone is desperate like this, my concern is that he's just not going to stop.
You know, it's interesting. We're not seeing any pedestrians out there, but we are seeing a lot of cars on the street, even though the curfew is, what, almost 2.5 hours now in effect?
Yeah, so people shouldn't be driving on the roads at this point. If they are in LA County, you sure enough shouldn't be walking on the street at this point because you could get arrested. And so that will at least put less people in the mix if people aren't out and about. But unfortunately, there's still some people who aren't heeding to the curfew. And now he's going to come up to a T Street here. So he's on Gower. Again, this is a street that we were on earlier today when we were covering the protesters. And so now he's on Gower with 2 units of the LAPD behind him, as well as the LAPD airship overhead.
Is he going north or south on Gower?
He's going
Actually,
south
he's
on
turning.
Gower.
It doesn't
that's the
really
old
matter,
Paramount
does it?
Studios there.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's by Paramount.
He just made the turn there on Melrose. So Melrose from Gower.
Long time ago, Chuck, I used to work in that area. We called it Gower Gulch.
Yeah.
I remember
True
that
enough.
well.
And the pursuit's going to come right under us, so we'll try to avoid having the camera spin, but sometimes it'll do that. But we'll try to keep track of it here as it comes under us. Again, Melrose and Gower are going to be the majors.
So he's heading back to the freeway.
And Ridgewood. Yeah, so heading back towards the freeway. We'll see if that's what he decides to do, is to get back on the freeway. If he does, the freeway conditions on the 101 are still relatively light. And that would actually help to put, or rather just to diminish the amount of obstacles that will be in his way in terms of pedestrians and then other cars, because again, the freeways are still rather light here through the area.
Eliana, just have a crazy little question here. Every now and then we see a little light. It almost looks like a laser
I was
light.
going to ask exactly about that,
And
Chuck.
then it goes away and it's kind of a squiggly line. Is that a reflection, or are they using a laser on him?
I believe
there it
that's
is
going
right
to
there.
be just, there it is. I think that's a reflection of the light of the night sun on our lens. It happens from time to time. And the airship did actually say that he was having issues with his night sun, which we can tell, which is why it's kind of flickering. And I believe that's why we're seeing that,
back on the
that
freeway,
little light show up every now and then. Yeah, so now it's on the freeway, and he's going to be getting on the 101. I'll give you the direction here in a moment. I believe it's going to be southbound, though. So, yeah, it's going to be southbound 101. And the direction that he's going in now will take him into the downtown LA area.
So basically, he's made a huge circle. I mean, Hyperion's not that far from where he is now.
Yeah, he basically went...
Yeah,
a big loop. He went one way on the 101, and now he's going the other way on the 101. This is right at Vermont. It's where the 101 splits, where you can see that there's a little divider between the freeway between the north and southbound side. But I'm going to widen out the shot now since he's on the freeway.
It looks like the
We're
black
less
and white
likely to
behind
lose
him is picking up speed as well, trying to close in a little bit.
Yeah, because they could easily lose this guy. He's going so fast. I think he's going at 100. Let me put the camera right on him.
Your speedometer just is fluctuating between 100 and 120 miles an hour. Do we have any idea how many people are in this SUV?
We haven't heard over the scanner how many people the police think are in there, but we've tried to check, and those windows are just so darkly tinted. I can just barely make out a figure in the driver's seat, but we can't see anybody else inside. And at no point during this pursuit have we seen them lower the window or throw anything out or anything of that nature that would help us to determine if people are in certain seats within the car. But wow, look at these speeds, guys. He is really booking and trying to get away from authorities.
And this is the LAPD in pursuit here?
Still the LAPD, but because we're now on the freeway, the CHP could take over. And the reason why that would be best in this situation would be that the CHP is the police of the freeway system. So even though certain units of the CHP would take over here, if he got on other portions of the freeway, different units of the CHP would be able to come in.
Is he getting on the 110 or what is?
Yeah, he's going 110 south. So this is going to put him just next to the buildings in downtown LA. It's going to put him just west of all of the big buildings in the heart of Los Angeles. This was a portion of the freeway that was shut down on Friday with all of those protesters. Fortunately, no protesters out here tonight as he continues southbound 110.
You know, it's interesting. Last night we heard from the police chief in Long Beach that so many people were trying to divert attention from the issue at hand, that they got so many prank calls and things like that. You've got 2 units and an airship over this. It makes you almost wonder that might not be a concerted effort here as well.
It very well could be, especially if the WA is what we originally heard it was, which was throwing fireworks at the officers. It very well could be a distraction to get some of the attention away from some of the looting that is taking place. But I can guarantee you,
and resources as well.
Exactly. It takes away 2 ground units, and I'm sure they have plenty of ground units. So maybe those 2 ground units don't play that big of a factor. But it also takes away an airship, and that they don't have as many of. So 1 airship is now completely devoted to this, in addition to the 2 units that are now following this suspect south on the 110.
Boy, I can't believe that SUV can go that fast.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if your speedometer is really working there, Ileana, because he's gone up over 120 miles an hour there.
And I believe it's actually correct. I know it's hard to believe, but I'm also listening on the scanner just to kind of confirm the numbers that we're getting. And we are hearing anywhere from 100 to 120. So that sounds about right.
Oh, my gosh.
Incredibly, though. I mean, to be honest, we're having trouble keeping up. That's why we're kind of so far back here. He's heading southbound here on the 110. So this is the Harbor Freeway. He's going to pass right by USC, right by the Coliseum, and really just using any lane that he needs to get by as he continues here southbound 110.
Oh boy, he looks like he almost started to lose control there. So he's already past the 10, correct?
Yeah, so he's already south of the 10 freeway, and so we had to ask for a special permission here from LAX to let us work in their airspace, and so that's why we'll hopefully get a little closer as minutes go on here. But he's going to be just on that other portion of the 10. This is where we've got that express lane that goes above. And he may be temporarily obstructed by it, but hopefully we'll be able to keep tabs on him here. But watch that CHP unit, or rather the LAPD unit. He's really trying to keep up. I mean, we're still looking at, what, 100, 110 miles an hour? And I believe it, because this is fast.
Look at that.
Yeah, you know, it almost looked like he had done some damage, like he might have hit something on the freeway there. But he looks like he's up and running. And tires seem okay.
You know, and to Colleen's point, tossing fireworks at an officer or several officers, man, we're expending a lot of time and resources here on something like that might seem almost kind of petty. But I understand if you're an officer and you have a projectile, you know, thrown at you, it's a big deal. But still, you know.
Yeah, you know, the LAPD, Chuck, you're right, has 13,000 officers, and they're doing shifts of 12 on, 12 off, and they're trying to maximize and get as many people on. But the one airship, to take the airship out of the mix here, when they're using those airships to track, you know, large groups of people, to track looters and things like that, you know, that really does take a major resource out of the mix here.
So now he's going parallel to the freeway on surface streets.
Yeah, parallel to the freeway. Yeah, just on the other side of that retaining wall. So now we're going to see him. I was going to say we couldn't see him, but now we can. He's 69th and Flower. So this is going to be the South LA area, and just based off of our previous experience, we know that people tend to return to an area that is familiar to them. So perhaps this is an area that is familiar to this individual. And I could have sworn I saw someone in the back seat. When you made that turn, I thought I saw someone in the passengers, or in the back seat there, in the middle seat. But perhaps it could have been a reflection of the light. But it did appear that there was somebody sitting in the back.
Almost makes you wonder why they don't grab a plate on this guy and then try to track him that way. So they must know something we don't.
If it has a plate.
Well, that's true, too.
If it has a plate, or sometimes it could be a cold-plated vehicle. And we've talked about this before. Cold-plated vehicles are cars that have a license plate on them, but the license plate doesn't correspond to the type of car. So we saw that in a pursuit that we had a few weeks back. Yeah, this one does have a plate, but I'm sure they ran it. And it's unclear at this point if perhaps it came back stolen, or if it does come back to the registered owner. But for whatever reason, this person is still just refusing to stop.
So you're on Florence Avenue, just crossed over Avalon?
Yeah, so Florence coming away from the 110, and those speeds are accurate. These are surface streets, guys. 100 miles an hour. This is just so incredibly dangerous. Oh my gosh. I pray that he doesn't get a red light, because I don't think he's going to stop. This is a very fast here on Florence, 100 miles an hour.
And remember, that is a heavy vehicle, so if it does strike something, it'll make a heck of a mess.
Yeah, what does it look like, Chuck? An Expedition, maybe?
Something like that. You know, I can't tell, but it's a late model. It's not a new one.
He's
You know,
turning.
he's going so fast that it's hard to even keep up with the addresses and the street signs that you're flashing on the mapping.
Yeah, I mean, I knew he was on Florence, but I missed every cross that he came up to because he was going so fast. He just made a turn there. I believe that's going to be Compton, and he's going southbound. So southbound on Compton, and
Is there something
I'm going
coming
to
up?
push in here one
I
more
guess not.
time. He's going to make yet another turn there on Compton,
Well,
and now
that's it.
And now they're running.
bailing.
Okay, so we're going to
Whoa,
try to stay
one,
with the
two,
driver.
three, four, five.
Five.
Wow.
5 people bailed out.
So there was definitely more than one, that's
Yeah.
for sure. But we're going to stay with the driver. It's just because he was the person that was driving during the course of this pursuit. So we're going to stay with this guy. And I'm going to go into infrared to be better able to see. Right at our 1 o'clock, Saro, you should see the night sun. He's just on the backside of those trees. So that's where we last saw him. But you guys saw it as we did. Everyone's scattering there. And there's the LAPD pulling up right now, trying to get some officers into place, but that's not even the direction that the driver went in. The driver went this way. They're going to go after some of the passengers. There's an individual there, but I don't believe he was involved in any way. I think he's just a resident, just kind of taking everything all in. But we last saw the driver here on this street. It's going to be, I hope I'm saying that correctly, I think it's Antwerp Street here in South Los Angeles.
This is one of those cases where the suspects outnumbered the police that were following him because there's only 4 officers, but we counted 5 coming out of the car.
Oh, you just had another squad car just pulled up.
okay,
It looked
now you
like
got another one.
a couple more.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
but
kinda
nobody
starting
seems to be
to,
looking in that direction where the driver went.
Exactly. They're saturating the neighborhood, but at this point they're just focusing over in the direction that the passengers ran. But I believe that's going to be a cruiser. Perhaps that's a cruiser there. It's definitely a car that's arriving on scene there. And I see an individual walking away, but he doesn't match. He doesn't match the clothing of the person that we saw running away. But again, the last location
Yeah,
that
there are
we
a
saw
couple
that
people
individual would have been that area right there.
I would assume this is going to be pretty time consuming if they ever find the people who are in that car. Do you know if the airship was able to keep up with anyone?
Well,
Yeah, so we're hearing that
They
some
think they
arrests
have
are
something.
taking place, and that's the direction that the passengers ran in. So it appears that at least some of the passengers are being taken into custody.
yeah, 3 of them went over to the right.
Correct.
One went down the street one way, and the other one went up the street
Up the
another
street.
way. Yeah.
Yeah, so it looks like it was. There's another guy right there. So we're hearing that another suspect is right under the night sun. They're in very close to Nadeau and to Antwerp Street. And we're going to continue, of course, to monitor everything that's going on here on the scanner, but we're going to start to make our way back to Hollywood.
Well, that should take you, what, 10 minutes? Maybe not even that.
As the chopper
Yeah,
flies,
it should
Chuck.
take us about 10 minutes to get back to
About
Hollywood. So
10
we're going to go
minutes.
back there. We, of course, don't want to lose focus on